according to sources within Brazil, that Barcelona are negotiating with Porto about a loan for Vitor Roque and a sale for Mikhail Faye with a buyback option. Barcelona would be open to hearing offers of minimum 15 million euros for the latter. It also states here, according to Sport, that FC Porto is negotiating with FC Barcelona for two players, Mikhail Faye on a permanent basis of 15 million euros and Vitor Roque on loan. The close relationship between Deco, Barcelona sports director, and Andre Villas will be crucial throughout this process. Now, let's talk about Mikhail Faye first. Faye just played a match against Cordoba. This was a game where Barcelona Athletic tied against Cordoba 1-1. They're trying to achieve promotion. Now they're going to have to go into the next game and play against Cordoba again in the second leg to really see who's going to be coming out in the end. Mikhail Faye in this game made a huge mistake that allowed for Cordoba to score the first goal. There was a cross that ended up going into the box. Mikhail Faye had to defend the far post, but the player that he was going up against won against him, and Mikhail Faye lost the duel that led towards the 1-0. It was very easy. The way that Mikhail Faye defended in that moment reminded me of Joao Cancelo when he made a mistake against PSG when he could not defend the far post, and this is something that we have been seeing more and more from Faye's game. He fails to win the opponent when he has to defend the back post. We know that Mikhail Faye is a physical monster when he is on the ball, or when he is going to the final third, or when he does need to press. We know what type of player he is, but when you actually have to defend and you have to position yourself in the best way possible when a cross does come in, you must learn that. That is a fundamental piece towards becoming one of the best center backs in the world. If Mikhail Faye has ambition to be somebody important for Barcelona in the future, you have to correct those mistakes. Now, it was not just bad for Mikhail Faye. In the second half, he made it up. He had an amazing 45 minutes, and you can just tell that he was really trying to make it up. And so yes, I'm very well aware that he does make mistakes, but I'm also very well aware the type of talent he is. And I've already seen a lot of people say that Mikhail Faye needs to leave because he makes these individual mistakes that lead towards goals, and I understand that. I get it. But I think that for the majority of the people that do go against Mikhail Faye and why he should be leaving Barcelona, I think that Kubarsi did spoil you just a little. I think that many have been trying to compare Faye to Kubarsi and are trying to put Faye in the exact same level of Kubarsi when that should not even be the case. Faye is not really a Barcelona product. He came in about a year ago and he does need time to adapt to the Barcelona system. Faye is expected to make mistakes and he's going to continue to make many mistakes, but that should not mean that he should be leaving. And even with the coaches that work at Barcelona Athletic or the sporting staff, I speak to you guys, just because Faye is committing a few errors here and there, it does not mean that he should leave and go on a sell. I mean, look at what happened with Ronald Araujo. At the age of 25 years old, he is still making mistakes. Look at what he did against Barcola, against PSG. He made a huge mistake that cost us to go into the semifinals of the Champions League. Does that mean that Araujo should leave this summer? No, of course not. And so the same agenda has to go with Mikhail Faye. Yes, he made a mistake, but he had a colossal second half. He was dominating. He looked very concentrated at the back. He was the team's first passer when they were trying to get out from the press. And so I do hope that Mikhail Faye does stay at Barcelona, and I hope that Hansi Flick gives him more confidence and prominence and to join us in the preseason, because I was looking at the history of Barcelona selling their players with a buyback clause, and it usually never ends up going well. Like for example, Deulofeu was sold to Everton and Barcelona inserted a buyback clause, but Barcelona never executed the option. But they did resign him though in 2017, and they sold him to AC Milan later on. We can also speak about Halilovic. Remember, the next Messi, supposedly, right? He was sold to Hamburg SV. Barcelona yet again included a buyback clause and sold him in 2016. Barcelona never executed the buyback option and Halilovic went elsewhere. We can move on to Adama Traoré. Adama Traoré was sold to Aston Villa in 2015. Barcelona never executed the buyback option, and eventually Adama moved to other clubs and eventually landed in Wolves. We can even talk about Denis Suarez, who was sold to Villarreal in 2015. Barcelona yet again did the exact same thing with Deulofeu. They brought him back in 2016, but then he left the club again a few months later. There was a few players that we actually sold and we bought again, and one of them was very successful. Like for example, we sold Gerard Piqué to Manchester United. Piqué left Barcelona to go to Man United in 2004, and even though there was not a buyback clause, Barcelona re-signed him in 2008, and the rest was history. We also sold Eric Garcia, who left for Man City in 2017. Again, no buyback clause, but Barcelona eventually brought him back on a free transfer in 2021. Another one was Marc Cucurella. Barcelona sold Cucurella to Eibar with a buyback clause in 2018. We did exercise the option in 2019 and then eventually sold him again to Getafe with a similar clause. And so like really in the end, the only real player that ended up being sold and brought back that ended up being successful was Gerard Piqué. And so what are the chances of Mikhail Faye being one of those players? That is what makes me nervous. 99% of the time, it does not end up going well. Moving on towards Vitor Roque. Here is the strange thing about Vitor Roque's case. In the past 3 days, he has been training under the guidance of Hansi Flick. It was reported not too long ago, like literally 3 days ago, that he cut his vacation short and he decided to train with Hansi Flick. And the fact that Barcelona right now are negotiating for a potential loan still for Vitor Roque to go to Porto, does that mean that Vitor Roque is doing that bad? Like really? Even after him coming into training early this summer, you're telling me that Barcelona are concluding that they still want to loan him out to Porto? Like, I know he's a good player. Like when we saw him at Brazil, he was creating so many chances, he was dribbling, those type of things that he was doing at Brazil, he does not do that at Barcelona. Maybe yes, the reason why he did not do that at Barcelona last season is because of Xavi's strict rules, but I want to see him at least once under the guidance of Hansi Flick and in a game, because I think that Hansi Flick can really give these players more freedom to roam, to become their best selves on the pitch, and that is where I believe Vitor Roque could blossom. We know how good he is. It just doesn't make any sense how the sporting staff want to push the player to go elsewhere and to go on loan to Porto. I think that he still has a place. How is Lewandowski going to be playing all the minutes next season? Like, what other number 9 are we going to be betting on? Could it be Ferran Torres? Could it be Joao Felix? To me, I want to see Vitor Roque succeed. I want him to be here under Hansi next season. And so let's just say that this is true, that Vitor Roque is so bad and he can't really perform, not in games and not even in the training session. What could be the reason why Vitor Roque is underperforming? Maybe he could be hearing about the reports about what's going on surrounding him. Maybe the environment surrounding him is really bad. Like for example, we knew that most of the forwards and the wingers were in some capacity a little selfish in the last 5 to 6 months of the previous season because they wanted to prove their worth. They want to stay at Barcelona. Joao Felix, Joao Cancelo, 2 players who had to link up with Vitor Roque, they were at one point being very selfish because they wanted to prove a point. They want to have continuity at Barcelona. Vitor Roque knew this. Another thing, Vitor Roque came in January, a time where he was not even supposed to come in. He knew that with him coming in to replace Gavi within the wage bill was going to make it very difficult for financial fair play later on in the summer. And then we talk about the sporting reasons. Barcelona love Lamine Yamal. He is not going to be benched whatsoever. Vitor Roque can play in that position, but it's not going to be happening for him. There's no way. Lamine Yamal is just on a different level. We could talk about him replacing Lewandowski. Lewandowski was one of the best goal scorers last season, which basically means that the only real option right now is the left wing position. And right now, Barcelona have been looking for a strong left winger. So maybe Vitor Roque is looking at all of this and saying, do I even have a place at this team? So as of now, if assuming this is true, that he is underperforming and that mentally he's not there, maybe this could be the reason why Vitor Roque feels under pressure, is because there's too many bad things surrounding him, too many bad stories, the media is getting to him, and this is something that has to be corrected. So I understand the scenes, but still, like, even though Vitor Roque might be going on loan to Porto, to me it doesn't make any sense. He needs to have more time at Barcelona. He must, because if you're gonna give more time to, just like I have said about Mikael Faye and also Noah Dadrich, these 2 players need to have more time. They have made their mistakes, of course they did. Sometimes they did make their team suffer, but it does not matter. This is a period for them to adapt and nothing more. And the same thing does go on with Vitor Roque. And so in the end, right, if his performances just end up being really bad, if in the training session everybody just says, yeah, this guy is trash, he has no first touch, technically he's really bad, we don't see him improving, I'm just gonna say that this is not Laporta's fault, this is not Xavi's fault, this is not Hansi Flick's fault, this is Deco's fault, because he was the one that wanted Vitor Roque at Barcelona and he believed that he could be good enough to become the next number 9 for Barcelona. It would be Deco's fault. And we would also say that he chose the wrong player, because 9 months ago we had a battle, which was to either put all of our eggs on Estevao Williams or Vitor Roque, and we chose Vitor Roque. If Deco was doing his job correctly, he would have chose Estevao Williams. And this is again assuming that Vitor Roque just ends up leaving. If that ends up happening, then yes, Deco did his job bad and he should have focused on Estevao Williams and put all your time and all your resources on this player, because you know what, Estevao Williams, even though he is a Barcelona fan and a diehard Barcelona fan, he is going to be joining Chelsea, not Barcelona. And so it's a shame, but we'll see how this summer does evolve for the Brazilian youngster and also with Mikael Faye. That is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.